Hey there, I'm Sully, and as always, welcome to the Gun Club. Alrighty, today is going to be a little bit of a change of pace. I'm doing this as a pre recorded video, probably because I figure if I try to do it live, I'll get so much hate in the chat that I'll be chased off the internet and go run and hide in the closet or under the bed or something. I know I'm going to get hate for this. I understand that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to throw the information right up here with my email address and everything. If you want to give me hate, there's where you can give it to me on X, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Locals. Even go down to my email and email me your hate comments if you want. I'm sorry I had to make this video. I just thought, well, we need to go there. Now, when I decided to do this, I could have covered this the way a lot of people are covering it. And if you look, there's a lot of people in the law tube, gun tube space that are covering this incident. If you're not familiar, it's the Roger Fortson incident. It occurred down in Florida about a week and a half ago, where a law enforcement officer went to an apartment and there was a tragic shooting. There's the TLDR on it. We'll get into it a little bit further. We'll get into some of the truth, some of the lies, but we're also going to go a little bit deeper into how do we keep it from happening in the future. I am not here to adjudicate or decide good shoot, bad shoot, whatever. Everyone can make up their own opinion on that. You can find a lot of people in the 2A space, including, Andrew Bronca, law of self-defense. He's got his opinion. You've got other people. You've got their opinion. You've got attorney Benjamin Crump involved in his opinion/lies, and we'll talk about some of his lies, and I'll go through the story real quickly. Now, I'm not going to actually play the video on here of what happened with Mr. Fortson. I may do that at a later time if we go over it, do it a deep dive at some point, may do it on Rumble. Bottom line is, there were problems with the situation. Let's talk about them. My number one goal in doing this is let's keep it from happening again. I can't change what happened yesterday. I can't bring Roger Fortson back no matter what I do on this video or what we do. What we can do is we can learn from it. I want to do this as a post-incident analysis so we can learn from it. I also want to put us in the mind of both Mr. Fortson and the deputy. These were the two primary actors in this situation. I want to give a little bit of insight into both sides of the coin. Why? Because the more we learn from both sides of the coin, the more we can possibly come back and make sure that this kind of a shit show doesn't happen again. So, again, before you hate on me too much for what I'm going to say, understand I'm trying to do the best I can to make sure this doesn't happen tomorrow. What happened yesterday is over. Let's not have it happen again tomorrow. What do you say? All righty. For those of y'all not familiar, a deputy was summoned. Multiple deputies responded to an apartment complex for a possible domestic violence. First arriving deputy meets with someone downstairs, hears that there has been an ongoing problem with a domestic at XYZ apartment. Talks to another person who's either a resident or an employee of the apartment complex. She tells him this has been an ongoing problem. She's even heard it 2 weeks ago. But whoever called her today from the apartments said that, and I quote, things were getting out of hand up there. She sends the deputy to apartment 1401. That's 1401. Gives him directions. He goes to the elevator. He tells the woman who's telling him what's going on, go outside, wait for the second or third in deputies, and direct them to my location. I'm going upstairs. He gets on the elevator, goes upstairs, goes to apartment 1401. There's your first lie. Benjamin Crump involved said the deputy went to the wrong apartment. Maybe he was not at the apartment where the domestic was, but he was at the apartment that he was sent to. He was sent to 1401 and he went to 1401. So the fact that the deputy went to the wrong apartment, he went where he was sent by the complainants. Okay, fair enough. Secondly, the deputy knocks on the door rather loudly. He does it multiple times. He does twice announce, Sheriff's Department, open the door. Again, very loudly. Now, after the first series of knocks, he moves to the side of the doorway where he's not immediately visible to the peephole. Had Mr. Fortson looked out at that time, chances are he would not have seen him. However, he did not cover up the peephole. Benjamin Crump is saying he did. There was no evidence of that on the body cam footage, so he did not cover the peephole. Line number 2 from Crump. Was not the wrong apartment, did not cover the peephole. He then moves back to the door, knocks on the door again, loudly. Sheriff's Department, open the door. Per Benjamin Crump, he never announced. Well, yeah. So, at this point, Mr. Fortson's inside. Now, he's on a FaceTime or a Zoom call with somebody. He doesn't know who's knocking at his door. Quite possibly, he had earbuds in, headphones in, something. Maybe, again, the door is fairly solid. Most apartments are relatively soundproof. He may not have heard the deputy announce. That's a possibility. And again, we have to look at what the deputy knew is that he's going to a violent domestic situation whereby things have gotten out of hand. It's been reported to be an ongoing incident. What does Mr. Fortson know? Someone's pounding on my damn door. I didn't call for anything. I didn't order Domino's. I didn't order DoorDash. Who the hell's at my damn door? Mr. Fortson is an upstanding member of the community. He's a senior airman in the United States Air Force serving his country by all rights. Wonderful guy, super nice guy. No reason whatsoever that he'd be a problem child. So he, at this point, is concerned that someone's pounding on his door, some strange person. He gets his lawfully, legally owned firearm in his hand and goes to answer the door. The deputy standing outside the door is responding to a violent situation that has gotten out of hand, is what he's been told. We can't read his mind. I can't change his actions. When Mr. Fortson opens the door, he has his pistol down at his side, pointed at the ground. The deputy looks, sees the pistol, says step back, proceeds to clear from his leather, and comes up, draws and fires. The deputy fires multiple shots. Mr. Fortson recoils backwards onto the ground, dropping the gun. The deputy then screams, drop the gun, which he's already dropped. He's on the ground. And I'm pretty sure that from the deputy's standpoint, is just a automatic recoil situation of, the minute you shoot someone, it's drop the gun, because you're trying to stabilize the situation. Did the deputy overreact? That's a question. That's an opinion. I'm not going to go one way or the other on it. I can see where you can say he did. I can also say that you have a deputy responding to a violent situation is confronted by a man holding a gun. But wait a minute, from Mr. Fortson's side, he's in his apartment. Some weirdo's knocking on his damn door. He's, of course, going to get a gun. Again, we can fight back and forth either side of it as to what's legal, what's not legal, what's good, what's bad. Would I have done what the deputy did? Probably not. But again, from that standpoint, until you're the one standing up there on like a 4th floor balcony, confronted by a man with a gun in a violent situation. Now, did Mr. Fortson do anything as far as aiming the gun at the deputy, pointing the gun at the deputy, drawing the gun on the deputy? No. Was Mr. Fortson doing everything legal with his constitutional rights? Yes. However, I want to say that in the deputy's opinion, could he at that point have been in fear for his safety? Yes. Now, the sheriff's office that was involved in this, and I have to say this, although it has no bearing whatsoever directly on this case, is the same sheriff's office that emptied and did some mag dumps on Operation Acorn a few weeks back. So maybe there's a training issue there. Maybe there's a tactical issue there. We all know how well that scene went. So again, same sheriff's office. Maybe their tactics need to be worked on. However, let's look at this. And again, rather than rehashing and trying to decide who's right, who's wrong, or whatever, let's not go there. Let's talk about how this could happen differently in the future. Let's not have the next Roger Fortson. Because by all rights, his death is an absolute travesty. It should not have happened. Why did it happen? Because the deputy got scared. On the other side of that coin, why did the deputy get scared? He's alone, potentially violent situation, and meets a man with a gun. Now, some of the things out there have been, well, when the deputy came up to the door, he listened and he didn't hear any commotion or slapping or fighting going on. So why would he think there's a violent situation going on? Maybe the domestic violence had gone so bad that the man had already killed the spouse. Maybe the spouse is already lying dead in a bedroom. After all, things are so bad that the neighbors are calling and reporting it. You get there and you don't hear anything. Well, I guess if you don't hear anything, there's no domestic violence going on. I mean, she couldn't be dead or tied up in a bedroom or knocked unconscious or choked out or anything, could she? Nah, that would never happen. After all, he's again going to a violent situation. For all we know at that point, that the suspect had already told her, you sit in here and keep your mouth closed, and if you open your mouth, I'll kill you. He's met by a man with a gun. Now, did he overreact again? That's, y'all decide on that. I'm not going one way or the other. I can say that while I don't agree with what the deputy did, I can understand how he could reasonably start to go down that road. Domestic violence, one of the most hostile scenes, high-risk scenes law enforcement deals with. So he's going to an absolutely high-risk scene, and he's confronted by a man with a gun. Okay. Now, again, when we get into the Benjamin Crump stuff, no, he didn't go to the wrong apartment. No, he didn't cover the peephole in any way, shape, or form. Yes, he did announce. Also, at one point, Crump was saying that deputies busted in the door of the wrong apartment. They didn't bust in the door. The deputy knocked twice, announced loudly. But did Fortson hear it? That's where you get into the he said, she said stuff. We have to put ourselves in the mind of the deputy who knows they pounded and announced repeatedly. Roger, someone's banging on my door. I don't know who the hell it is. Could they both be right? Possibly. Again, the deputy with the shooting, I'm not defending. Please understand that before you start writing me hate mail. But how could we avoid this? Well, let's say I'm the concealed carrier. I'm the lawful person. I'm the Roger Fortson in this. I hear someone pounding on my door. I don't expecting anybody. I haven't invited anyone to the house. I haven't told, Domino's or DoorDash to bring me food. When I'm going to the door, if someone's pounding on the door like that, if I look outside a couple times, if I don't see anybody, who is it? Identify yourself. And they say sheriff's department. Well, maybe it's really the sheriff's department. Maybe it's a bunch of street thugs using that as an excuse. Well, okay, show yourself. I want to see who it is. I want to see badges. I want to see uniforms. I want to see something. The deputies were not, at that point, charging through the door with a battering ram or anything else. This is definitely not like a Malinowski issue, so to speak. This is a deputies outside the door. Once you realize that, oh, wow, that is a uniformed deputy outside, maybe, again, it could be a stolen uniform. Yeah, we could, if, but okay, what's going on? At that point, and again, I'm not faulting Roger Fortson, and I'm not going to fault the deputy at this point either. I want to let the whole thing go through. Let, what happened. I'm not relitigating yesterday. I'm talking about in the future. You hear someone pound on your door, middle of the day. You're like, okay, I'm not expecting anyone. They keep pounding like crazy. Maybe they're announcing, maybe they're not. You don't know whether you hear them. Well, you get your lawful firearm. You're going to the door. If you pop the door open, gun in hand, can that deputy possibly get the wrong idea? Yes. Now, even if the deputy is wrong and totally bad, Mr. Fortson's still deceased. And that's the sad part about this. I want to keep this from happening again. Let's fix the one that happens tomorrow, not relitigate the one that happened yesterday. If Fortson had gone, looked at the peephole, doesn't see anybody, talk to this person through the door before you've even unlocked the door. Who is it? Sheriff's Department. What do you want here? Oh, we're here to investigate domestic disturbance. There's no domestic going on here. Okay, can you open the door? At that point, if you've seen the deputy and they're there for a domestic, especially if there's like multiple deputies by that point, put the gun away or put the gun down or put the gun back in your holster before you open the door. A law enforcement officer who is greeted by somebody with a firearm in hand can have a bad reaction. Again, whether justified or not, don't bring you back. Okay? So let's say again, Fortson is 100% in the right, the deputy is 100% in the wrong. Fortson's mother is still bearing her child. I want to keep it from happening again. Answering the door, gun in hand, to some weirdo at Dark 100, do you know who's outside? Did you look through the peephole? Did you try to identify? Can we talk to someone through a door? I can talk through a door. I can be pretty loud. Had, hypothetically, Roger come to the door and said, "Who is it?" And they say, "Sheriff's Department, open the door." And he's like, "Why are you here?" And like, "We got a call about a domestic." And he's like, "I live here alone. There ain't no domestic going on." "All righty, can you talk to us? Because we're being told this is it." Maybe the deputy should have been sent to another apartment. That's what I'm thinking happened. Well, had Roger secured the weapon, put it down, put it in the holster, done whatever, and opened the door and said, "I live here alone, dude. I just got home from work. That's not me." Yeah, well, again, not blaming him, but I am saying, look, there is the potential. I'd rather have him alive and talking to us than deceased as a result of a tragic misunderstanding, misperception on the deputy's part. Am I saying the deputy's right or wrong? I don't care. Because no matter right, wrong, or otherwise, that just depends on how much the settlement his mama gets. But mama still lost her child. So, hate me all you want, but think about it. If it happens tomorrow, before you whip the door open with a gun in hand, yes, it's your 2A rights, and I understand that. And we'll say nice things about you at your funeral. Understand that confronting a law enforcement officer with a firearm in hand, especially in certain areas, we've got cops getting shot at all the time. Did the cop overreact? Let's say he did. Roger's dead. I don't care whether the cop overreacted, the cop was right, wrong, or otherwise. It doesn't bring you back. Realize opening the door in that situation, let's say it wasn't a cop. Let's say it truly was a bad guy. And they're ready to get the drop on you. Well, guess what? If you don't know who it is before you whip the door open, you have your gun in hand, so it's a bad guy, and you exchange rounds, and you both put 3 in each other. I don't want 3 rounds going in anyone. So again, tragic, hideous situation. I hate that it happened. I hate for Roger's sake that it happened. I hate for the deputy's sake that it happened. We all talk about how awful the cops are and everything else, and I hear it all the time. And I don't defend law enforcement 100% of the time. I do know that by the very nature of what they do, law enforcement has got a very, very hard job, very, very difficult job. I do know the fact that most law enforcement officers, try to do a decent job of doing a very, very difficult job. And when I say try to do a decent job of a difficult job, let's put it this way. We expect them to solve the entire world's problems at Dark 100. We expect them to be perfect. We expect them to wear cameras 24/7, 365 when they're on duty. And then we're going to come back and take a decision that deputy made in half a second, and we're going to analyze it for months or years. Kind of tough. Let's face it, they don't have do-overs. They don't get instant replay. They don't get a chance to say, well, maybe I could have done this, or maybe I could have done that, or maybe I could have done this. If they spend that much time thinking about it, there's a chance we're saying nice things about them at their funerals. So that's all I've got. Like I said, I wanted to touch on this Fortson situation, not so much to deal with what has happened or litigate what's happened in the past, but how do we prevent it in the future? See you again next time. Till then, be smart, be safe. Thank you very much, and I appreciate you coming out. Bye.